I think PSW is an event where you bring together seasoned investors, right? People who are venture capitalists, maybe they're in private equity. They understand that space technology is something that's interesting and worth investing in. But what's interesting to me is the perspective of those who are making the technology. Where do they come up with a vision to create a system that tracks objects and space debris? And not just how do they come up with that vision, but how do they actually execute on the technology? How do they deliver that product to market? That's the kind of conversation that occurs just on the margins of lots of coffee and lots of croissants at PSW. And it's a meeting of different kinds of personalities and different kinds of visions, but ultimately aligned around the same vision, which is how do we leverage space technology to further benefit the world? I think the events are absolutely critical, mostly because this is where creativity actually turns into something real. I think it's possible to ideate, to imagine, could it be possible to have direct satellite connectivity to your smartphone that's sitting there in your hand from a satellite in lower Earth orbit? I can sit and imagine this in my office or in front of my laptop or wherever in my home. Can I actually speak to an engineer who has not only thought about this intellectually, but has actually tested some theories, has tested their technology, and maybe even is close to having a product that they can deliver to market? That kind of conversation cannot actually occur where you translate creativity and imagination into a market sustainable product unless you have an event like PSW. At an event like PSW, the person with the idea can say, well, I'm looking for somebody that has space situational awareness as a capability. Well, we have it, company X has it as a capability. Hi, I'm a startup person based out of Brussels, and I not only have that as an idea, but here's my product. Let me show you a demo. Come to my booth, and when I demo it, you can ask me questions in real time, and then I'll be able to either answer them through my demo, or I'll realize that something's missing in making my product market ready. And that kind of exchange can only occur face-to-face at an event like this. For a space startup in 2022 to gain an investment, they actually are dealing with an unusual marketplace, and that is a marketplace that is oversaturated in capital. What do I mean by that? Lots of space startups actually have access to capital, particularly in the United States, because there's a lot of investors that are looking for exciting projects to put their money into. So for a space startup to be successful, they have to actually explain what is their product and how is it different from everything else that's out there. And they have to be able to translate the implications of their space technology into what I describe as layperson's terms. Tell me exactly what your thing does, but tell it to me like I'm in 5th grade. Because if you can't translate effectively your space technology, then it's going to be difficult to secure the investment. So that would be number one. Number two, who are you selling your product to? Not just the typical customers or predictable customers, let's say space agencies, let's say defense products, but who else are you selling your product to, and why do they need it? That to me suggests, if I'm an investor, that you've done your market research and you've accurately assessed whether there is a demand for your product and scoped out the scale of that demand. So that would be the second thing. And the third is, who's your team? Right? Space startups are not usually really well staffed. It's not like you have a staff of 15 people that are just running your sales. However, you need to have not only the expertise in the technology and the expertise in the marketplace, but have an effective team that can almost serve as the ambassadors or the representatives for your vision that have to be part of your team. And so I would want to get to know who that team is, to have an accurate sense of whether or not the investment is worth it, and usually it is. I think what 2022 will bring is a new set of technologies that are space-based that will enable us to not only have more refined insight into the impact of climate change on a smaller scale, meaning higher resolution images and analytics based on those images to be able to predict 6 months from now, this is what this plot of land will look like. And if this plot of land looks like this in 6 months, what does that farmer or that village or that site for hydroelectric power, what do they need to do today to be able to protect the valuable treasured natural resources that are being utilized or generated in that plot of land? None of that can happen without space-based technology. And I think 2022 will drive the growth of the use cases in exactly that way so that we're able to preserve natural resources more effectively.